Growing up, I was the kind of child who was every teacher's nightmare. Rambunctious, couldn't stay focused for very long, acting out all the time, disrupting class. And as a child, we call that difficult. As an adult, we call it an entrepreneur. Little did I know that my path would take me in this very circuitous route, both as an entrepreneur, as a venture capitalist, and now as a person who studies innovation and primarily innovation ecosystems. And it led me to a question that I wanted to answer, which is, I've been reading all these books about innovation. In fact, you cannot go on Amazon these days and look at an innovation or a business book that doesn't have innovation either as a primary theme or as a key topic within it. But if we've been studying innovation for as long as we have, if we've been writing about it and researching it, why does it still seem to be so elusive? Why does innovation seem to be so hard? And in addition, if we understood really what innovation was, how do we make more of it happen? And then once we do understand innovation, why is it that we fail to implement the knowledge that we actually have? In essence, why is there a gap between knowing what we should do and actually doing it? And it was a book that I had read that a colleague of mine gave me called The Knowing-Doing Gap by Pfeffer and Sutton, where all became clear. Because knowing what to do often exists up here, doing exists in your fingertip, but it's not a linear path. In fact, it's a circuit that goes through our emotional centers. Now, as human beings, we are emotional beings. We're connected to each other through our empathy and our humanity. But it's this very same thing that actually can get in the way of us living our truest potential. So we created this model to describe how businesses behave both in more traditional linear production businesses, but also in the knowledge and creative businesses. And I want to share a little bit of that with you today. So in our research, what we did is we described the linear production systems of the 19th and 20th centuries, what we've seen in agrarian industrial economies, as plantations. And they're built on models of scarcity. We have only so much resources to work with, so much good land, good water, good soil, good people. And we have to allocate these resources very, very efficiently, because any waste of these diminishes our productivity, our efficiency, and exactly our outcome. And so these models are very pristine, perfect, and all of our knowledge goes to the engineering of the process we work with. And they're wonderful in that way, and we know exactly what we're supposed to do, but they don't allow for any unplanned outcomes. If a weed grows up in your plantation, you pull it out because it competes for the very resources we are looking for. So we see this played out over and over again, from the production lines of the automobile industry to how we worked with the military-industrial complex, but even the way we make chips today is exactly the same process. It wastes the fewest number of resources, it produces the highest output. But we were noticing another complementary but also competing model that was working against that. And in the first model, the mantra is "thou shalt not mistakes." But in this new model, we have something very different going on. And we call this model the knowledge creation model, and we call these rainforests. And these rainforests are actually built on mindsets of abundance rather than scarcity. So if you and I get together for coffee and we share an idea, we each now have 2 ideas. And if we get a whole group of us to share ideas, we have lots of ideas. In fact, it's the one time that the more we engage and the more we come together, the capacity of what we're doing goes to infinity. But it's the exact opposite of what happened in the plantation model, where as we consumed resources, we take it down to 0, and it creates the mindset of scarcity. And so Matt Ridley, in his book, The Rational Optimist, said, innovation is all about ideas having sex. And that was a revelation for me, because as soon as I heard that, I knew exactly what my job was. I am here to promote promiscuity of ideas. I am here to build the brothels of innovation, and I want you guys to join me. And we call these brothels rainforests. Now, when you look at this rainforest as opposed to the plantation, you're not really sure what we're supposed to be looking at. It's lush and dense and green and beautiful, but believe it or not, the most important thing in the rainforest are the weeds you are standing on. These are the Googles, the Facebooks. These are the things when they first present themselves look like something that's not supposed to be there. And not only do the businesses look a little odd, the people look even odder. And you can see a kind of a young Bill Gates and a young Paul Allen in that picture. So if this young man came up to you, would you recognize him as a future leader? What do leaders look like in this new economy model? And therein lies what we call the paradox of innovation. Innovation looks like the social equivalent of a genetic mistake. It's not supposed to be there. It threatens the very paradigm to which it's supposed to help. In fact, innovation is only recognized and validated once it becomes imitation. So how are we trying to make innovation happen when the only way we judge it is in the rearview mirror? And over the years, experts have been trying to pick innovation, but yet experts always get it wrong. Whether it was the invention of the telephone, the airplane, or even the use of personal computers. The best experts of the time don't recognize it because current wisdom does not allow for these new paradigm shifts. So what it really takes to solve the greatest problems of the world is your imagination, because very often the knowledge we need to solve the problems and to create the new innovative tools doesn't yet exist. That's why innovation requires so much experimentation and iteration, and most importantly, evolution. So the mantra in the first model was, thou shalt not make mistakes. I reward you for not making mistakes. In this new model, what I'm going to reward you for is learning how to solve problems, coming together and using your knowledge to solve the greatest problems. Because as Edison said, he's never failed. He's just found 10,000 ways not to do something. And it's in that knowledge, and believe me, I relate to that a lot. So all innovation is human-centric. It's about human beings acting out and doing something other will. But that's also where it gets in our way. Because humans are the only species with the ability for prospective thought, to think about the future, to model the future, and change our behavior in the moment. So intellectually, there's probably no reason to buy a lottery ticket. But in the moment we buy that lottery ticket, something happens. We actually feel good. And the reason we feel good is because our mind creates a future memory of what we're doing. And we think about the car we're going to buy and the job we're going to be able to quit and the home we're going to be able to update. And in that moment, we actually feel very, very good. But it's that same emotion that also keeps us from doing things. So very often, whether we're governments or corporations or communities, we're trying to figure out what kind of outcomes we're trying to generate. So we want more jobs, we want prosperity, we want greater revenue in our businesses. So what is it that we have to do? So we talk about building incubators and tech parks and venture funds, and that's where we tend to focus. But we find that isn't very sustainable. In fact, here in San Diego, people have been coming from all over the world to study models like Silicon Valley and San Diego and Boston and Israel, and trying to take those lessons back, and when they go to apply them, they tend not to work, and they can't figure out why. If it worked in one place, why doesn't it work in the other? And that is because what we find is that actions are actually a deconstruction, or as a result of behaviors, which are a result of attitudes and motivation, but ultimately, they're a result of our beliefs. And I actually observed that when we go to places like the Silicon Valley, and Boston, and Israel, what we find is there are different belief systems in place, what people wake up every morning believing and acting upon. Because, trust me, your beliefs, you will act very consistently to your beliefs if they're strong enough. So this is really where we should focus. And one of the case studies we looked at was the religion of Apple. How did Steve Jobs get everyone in the world to act like his employee without ever having to put him on the payroll? All of us approach the ownership of our Apple products with such a religious zeal that it's envious of every company. People love Microsoft products, or people like their Microsoft products, people love their Motorola phones, and we use them, and in some ways, they're superior pieces of technology, but Steve Jobs found a way of embedding love and emotion into each of the products. And because of that, people reward them with their loyalty and their continued patronage of it. So what does it really take to create these belief systems? Well, we first have to understand what drives our belief systems. So often when we work with regions and we ask them, what do you think is the greatest demotivator or the reason that you don't succeed? And they said, we don't take risks, we don't like failure, we don't like things that are ambiguous and unclear. And what we tell them is, none of us really do. Entrepreneurs are not inherently risk-seeking. They're opportunity-seeking. They just think they have better ways of managing the risks that they work with. And so fear is actually not the most important emotion. Actually, it is hope. The belief, as we said, when you buy that lottery ticket, believing you can change the world, that's what changed. Because in that moment, you can create a different future for yourself. So what we find is that actually thinking plus feeling is believing. So it's not enough to just have a different mindset. You must have a different heart set as well. And it's the combination, though, those two that will drive innovation. So in conclusion, we don't want you to think like an economist. We want you to think like a psychologist. Because if you think like a psychologist, you will get people to motivate it and to believe in what they do. And as Maya Angelou said, long after people will remember what you said or did, they're going to remember how you made them feel. So and by the way, I hate this expression, thinking outside the box, because it's not about thinking outside the box. It's realizing the box doesn't even exist in the first place. And that's why entrepreneurs are able to succeed. So the rules of these rainforests that we create around the world are to break rules and dreams. Entrepreneurs are a bit naughty. I'm still naughty. I still kind of bend the rules a little bit. But my favorite one here is 5. Seek fairness, not advantage. We are all partners in this. We don't know exactly how the future is going to turn out, but we're going on the journey together. And in conclusion, without order, nothing can exist, but without chaos, nothing can evolve. So my recommendation to everyone is go out there and create a little chaos. Thank you.